Pavan Duggal, cyber expert, joins in on the show right now. Pavan, hi, afternoon. Thanks for taking the time out. I hope you can hear me. You'll have to unmute yourself, Pavan. We can't hear you.
Well, I'm unmuted. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, can hear you. Pavan, help our viewers understand what really is the issue.
Well, the issue is there has been some vulnerability. And as a result of the vulnerability being exploited, globally, the digital ecosystem is under attack. Whether it's people in India, whether it's across the world, we are seeing it's not just airlines being impacted, it's hospitals being impacted, stock markets being impacted, banking ecosystem being impacted. So I don't think it's a normal situation. It is a situation that had to happen. But across the world, people were closing their eyes thinking such a situation will never happen. The reality is that if this kind of an episode happens, it has got ramifications for digital ecosystem across the world. So I see it as a classical case of a cyber security incident. I also see it as a classical case for cyber terrorism. Why? Because when I look at the impact of this particular episode globally on the minds of people, it's begun to start creating terror, fear, and panic in the minds of people. So
Yeah, but
people tend to be cyber terror.
Yeah, but Mr. Duggal, just to put it in context, that Microsoft has been very categorical that it's not a cybersecurity or a cyber terrorism issue. At least it is an issue right now of a service upgrade which has happened, and perhaps compatibility, etc., is an issue. But I do take on board the point that you are making a bigger point per se as to how the overall digital dependence has gone up. But just to get a perspective from you, Mr. Duggal, with respect to the repair, now how much time do you think before this issue is sorted?
It could be a few minutes, it could be a few hours, maybe a few days. Though my personal gut feeling is in another couple of hours, things should return back to normalcy. It's definitely not going to be minutes. Why? Because it's a episode that's had global ramifications. And therefore, I think while the service provider is doing its level bit, the bigger question that we need to ask is, are we going to be prepared for this kind of an episode the next time it happens? And if so, what kind of preparation levels have to take in place? Now, till such time as this episode is happening, it's advisable that digital users should not engage in any kind of digital transactions or activities, as some kind of those activities could be prejudicially impacted. Wait for the storm to get over, then come back to normalcy. But a bigger question for governments across the world and the digital community is, how do we make sure that we as a nation, we as a global citizens, and we as a global world are prepared to deal with this kind of a scenario? And therefore, the focus has to come back more on cyber resilience. This episode is telling us that national cyber security laws are not adequate to deal with global paradigms like this one. Internet has made geography history. This itself shows the time has come that the world over, at the international level, governments have to come up with new legal frameworks at the international level to deal with cybersecurity. But in the context of India, we need to drive home the point that cyber resilience has to be our daily constant mantra as we go forward. But for that, we require appropriate guidance from the government. We require appropriate guidance from the private sector.
Absolutely.
And we as users have to contribute in this regard.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what we're wondering and waiting. In fact, considering it's not just been minutes, it's already been a few hours that there has been that outage. But Pavan, great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for giving us your perspective.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.